Alright guys, in lesson 2 we're going to talk about distance and midpoint. An ordered pair consists of two components written inside parentheses and corresponds to a point on a rectangular coordinate system. One component is the coordinate of a one component is the coordinate on a horizontal line, the other is on the vertical line. So we have our horizontal coordinate x, we have our vertical coordinate y. Alright, and then as you can see on the graph to the right, we have all our coordinates are positive in the top right quadrant, so we call that quadrant 1, and then from there in quadrant 1 it moves counterclockwise, so it moves to the left, kind of like when you're playing a card game or something like that, or a board game. You always move to the person to your left. All right, so everything's positive in the top right, and then you move to the top left, and it goes Q2, and then around it goes counterclockwise, Q3 and Q4. So if you're given a point and they ask you what quadrant it is, you can check the signs and see where is it. Okay, now the distance between 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, can be found by this formula. All right, so let's find the distance. So the distance here, that's going to be, let's see, we got 3 minus -8 squared plus -2 minus 4 all squared. Okay, so 3 minus -8, that's going to be 11. So you got 11 squared plus -2 minus 4 is going to be -6. You got -6 squared. All right, so it's going to be 121 plus 36. Remember, if the negative is inside the parentheses, the square takes care of that. And so you got 121 plus 36, and so the square root of that equals, that's going to be 157. Square root of 157. All right, so you can leave it like that, or if Pearson asks for you to give the decimal, you type that into your calculator and give it 1 or 2 decimals depending on what they ask for. All right, so square root of 157 would be the distance between those 2 points. All right, number 2, find the distance between these 2 points. All right, so I got distance equals, all right, that's going to be, let's see, -13 minus -5 all squared plus 1 minus -7 all squared. Okay, let's see, -13 plus 5 is going to give me -8 squared plus 1 minus -7 is going to be +8, so you got 8 squared. All right, so it's going to be 64 plus 64, which is going to be the square root of 128. So that would be the distance between these two. And once again, you can leave it in exact terms, or you can get a decimal depending on what Pearson asks from you. Okay, so we can also do this on a coordinate plane. So it says go find the distance from P to R. P is -4,3 and R is 8, -2. So my distance here is going to be, let's see, we got 8 minus -4 squared plus -2 minus 3, -2 minus 3 all squared. Okay, so 8 minus -4, that's going to be 12 squared plus -2 minus 3 is -5, so you get -5 squared. Okay, so you got 144 plus 25. It's going to give you the square root of 169. All right, and it turns out the square root of 169 is a perfect square, so this is simply going to be 13. No rounding necessary. So P and R are 13 units apart. So it's easy to get the distance when it's horizontal or vertical, but the diagonal is where the distance formula really shows up and helps out. All right, so the other formula we want to talk about is the midpoint formula, which is just the average of your x's and the average of your y's. So if you are looking for the midpoint, you use the midpoint formula straight up. So on number 4, this is to go find the endpoint of between these 2 points. So I have 8 plus -6 over 2, and I have -4 plus 1 over 2. Okay, so that's going to give me 8 minus 6 is 2, so you got 2 over 2. And then negative 4 plus 1 is going to be negative 3 over 2. So I'll simplify any fractions that I can. 2 over 2 is 1, and negative 3 over 2 stays the same. So this is my point. Now, on 5, you have 2 ways of working this. One is a little more complicated, using the formula, and I'm going to show you both. But you can use the formula, or you can use a number line. So let's look at the formula first. So it says that Q is one of the endpoints, and we're looking for it. So one endpoint is negative 612, and then the midpoint is 82. So that means that we have x plus negative 6 over 2 equals my x value, which is 8. And then my y value is y plus 12 over 2 equals negative 2. Okay, so once again, I don't know what my q values are. So I don't know my point for q. That's what I'm looking for. So if I had a q and was looking for the midpoint, I would say the average of the x's of p and q and the average of the y's of p and q, and I would go get the midpoint. But since I already have the midpoint, then I would set it up like this and solve for x and y. So 2 times 8 is 16, so I got x minus 6 equals 16. Add x equals 22. And then 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, so y plus 12 equals negative 4. Y equals, subtract that, and you get negative 16. So Q is going to be 22, negative 16. So we know that's our answer. We use the formula to get that. All right, so let's look at it a different way. And this next way that I'm going to show you is my preferred way to do it, because to me it just makes logical sense. So we know P is negative 612. We know that the midpoint, M, is 8, negative 2. And we're looking for Q. Okay. Okay, so to get from negative 6 to positive 8, I have to add negative 6 to 8 is going to be plus 14. And whatever you do, remember, midpoint is halfway. So whatever you do to get to the midpoint, you do it again to get to the other endpoint. So I'm going to add 14. 14 plus 8 is 22. Okay, to go from 12 to negative 2, I'm going to subtract, so it's going to be minus 14. And because it's halfway, whatever I do to get from P to M, I do that same step to get to M to Q. Okay, so minus 14 here. Negative 2 minus 14 is going to give you negative 16. Well, 22 and negative 16, that's what we found out algebraically. So pick whichever method you want to do, and I'm fine with that. I don't care how you choose to solve it. I'm not one of those teachers that says my way or the highway. I try to give you every way that I know, and you choose what works best for you. I like the number line. To me, that just makes more sense to me, and it's less room for error, in my opinion. But you do with it what you will. All right, guys, that's distance to midpoint. I'll see you in the next lesson.